Hi, and welcome to BNEWS Weekly. I'm Linda McNamee, in for Phil Gallagher. Joining me on this week's edition is BNews Director Rich Hosford, BNews reporters Tad Stefanak, Robert Paris, and John Vias, Peter Brown with the weather, and Jolie Atwood with Community Calendar. Burlington is once again furthering restrictions on outdoor watering of lawns by cutting the use of sprinklers down to 1 day per week. As of Thursday, July 23rd, all non-essential water use is limited to Tuesdays between 7 and 10 p.m. for even street address numbers and Saturdays between 7 and 10 p.m. for odd street address numbers. At all other times, the irrigation of lawns via sprinklers or automatic irrigation systems is prohibited. Some outdoor water use is permitted on any day at any time. These include watering gardens, flowers, and ornamental plantings by a handheld hose. Car washing and filling pools is also allowed, as is water use to meet the core functions of businesses or commercial activities. Also, applying necessary surface treatments such as paint, preservatives, stucco, pavement, or cement is allowed. What about establishing new lawns? According to the notice from the town, exemptions for establishing new lawns are given only during the months of April, May, September, and October, and only by written permission from the DPW. There are penalties for violating the watering restrictions. According to the town bylaws, Section 5.4, the town, through its Board of Selectmen, may declare a state of water conservation. Section 5.9 states the penalties for violating the water restriction are that any person violating shall be issued a warning for the first violation, shall be liable to the town in the amount of $50 for the second violation, and $100 for each subsequent violation thereafter. The town of Burlington has created a task force to help expedite the reopening of Burlington businesses and get the local economy back on its feet as fast as possible. BNews reporter Tad Stefanak spoke to some of the members and has this report.
From delivery and takeout to outdoor seating, the town of Burlington is focused on the local economy.
The town of Burlington formed a task force, and it was primarily to triage temporary requests as business started opening up.
Between the selectmen and the planning board working together with between the chairs to approve and encourage these kind of alternative ways to do things to get Burlington businesses back open, as well as kind of give us, the task force and the town administrator, the ability to approve these temporary measures.
We come together each Monday and review the temporary requests that come in, primarily to just make sure that there's not something egregious or something that we're kind of overlooking, but really to expedite these requests and get them, approved and out the door.
A lot of the times when you go through permitting, you try to control a lot of the operation, and how much do you really need to put kind of in the control and oversight of the property owners. I mean, if you have one parking lot and maybe it's not used for as many cars, but you have different tenants and different food tenants, and how much parking lot are they using versus the other tenants, and really how to deal with the equity among the tenants and how do we phase this reopening. And we were having a lot of issues with queuing of cars in fire lanes for curbside pickup, which is great that they have curbside pickup, but how do we manage people to not be too close together in terms of, ability for emergency services to come in if there's an issue.
Police and fire are typically looking at any public safety issues around traffic or fire lane issues, just things that as things are set up and proposed outdoors, those are the kind of primary things that police and fire have been looking at. Through this process, we've had primarily driven over 20 requests for outdoor seating, requests for, fitness in public spaces. We've had requests exploring testing sites. So these requests have been in response to the pandemic. And with that, we've been able to kind of help make some adjustments just to make sure it's safer.
I think it's been fantastic, the amount in different ways we've communicated.
All right, motion made and seconded to approve.
And learned how to communicate with each other. I think that's actually made for much better communication than we had before.
It's exciting to see as some of the businesses getting a little bit more creative as they have try to get people back in and create that kind of excitement again.
We've been working on repositioning some buildings for more lab uses and life science and other type of uses.
All with the ability to have that social distance, but yet create some fresh interest in our spaces again.
I think we just need to look at what types of spaces we have and what we're looking to reposition those spaces for whatever that new normal is when we come back.
From Burlington Town Hall and around Burlington, I'm BNEWS reporter Tad Stefanak.
Thank you, Tad. In related news, many Burlington restaurants have reopened and are offering a mix of outdoor and indoor seating with an emphasis on the al fresco option for greater social distancing. BNews director Rich Hosford spoke to people on the front lines of this effort and has this look.
Everything shut down in March, Burlington was almost unrecognizable. Normally busy establishments were shuttered and the streets looked empty. Now, as the state enters phase 3 of the reopening plan, signs of economic life and vitality are starting to be seen again. I recently invited Rebel Restaurant's chief chef Sean McDonald and Burlington Area Chamber of Commerce President Rick Parker in for a taping of our show BNews In Depth to talk about the reopening and ask them what they are seeing out there now that residents can once again dine at restaurants.
It's good. It's positive. It's we're every week we build a little bit more as confidence in our cleaning standards. We're seeing more guests come in each week. Weather is a big factor. A thunderstorm or 95-degree weather, it deters some people. But we're very happy with where we're going.
Yeah, I think we've been very fortunate with the weather. It has been a little hot, but with people being able to go outdoors, that's the key in getting people to get some sense of normalcy. It was great when people were all doing takeout, but after a while, you really just want to be in a different environment. So we have seen it slowly be adopted by the public. It's like anything else. It's a personal choice, but people need to know that they're going to be safe when they go out there, and I think that the restaurant community has done a great job of demonstrating that.
So what are those safety measures?
The great things that the governor's office and the Secretary of Economic Development and Lieutenant Governor have done, the reopening process gives strict guidance to sanitation, PPE, and education of employees on how to sanitize, when to sanitize, checklists, and it's really been adopted well by the restaurant community.
We disinfect regularly. We disinfect between when guests arrive, when they leave. Whether it's a high contact touching areas, whereas the doors, we'll prop doors open where we can, and we're wiping doors down regularly to help kill the viruses wherever it might be.
They are also asking the public to take precautions, such as wearing facial coverings when not sitting at a table to help prevent the spread of the virus. And as was made clear at a recent Board of Health meeting, this is a requirement for anyone in a public establishment.
Now, when you're in a restaurant, and maybe a lot of folks don't realize this, but when you're in a restaurant, you can take off your face covering when you're sitting down at the table. If you have to get up to use the restroom or to talk to somebody at another table, you have to put that face covering back on.
And while it may be inconvenient in the moment, in the long run, it's to everyone's benefit if we all do what is necessary to help stop the spread of COVID-19.
I think we've heard all along during the pandemic that we're all in this together, and there could be no truer statement when it comes to opening up businesses. The businesses have a responsibility for providing a safe environment, and they're doing a phenomenal job of that through guidance and regulation and just understanding what it is to the new normal for cleaning and sanitizing. But it's incumbent upon the public as well to respect each other, to respect the rules, and to adhere to all the guidelines. We're only as good as all of us can be together. So it's important for consumers and the public to do their part as well.
Finally, Sean says he's eager and happy to welcome customers back.
Yeah, right now we offer outdoor dining. We have at both Jack's, Temescal, and Tony C's. The outdoor dining is everyone loves to sit outside. Plenty of space outside. Inside we're equally as safe, and come and join us. The air conditioning is great on these hot summer days. But also, if you don't feel comfortable yet, that's fine, and everyone feels a little different. But take advantage of takeout, curbside, and our delivery services as well.
Until next time, I'm BNews Director Rich Hosford.
Thank you, Rich. Authorities are warning that if you receive a strange packet of seeds in the mail, as at least one Burlington resident has, not to plant them. The United States Department of Agriculture, or USDA, said it is aware that people across the country have received suspicious, unsolicited packages of seeds that appear to be coming from China. USDA's Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service is working closely with the Department of Homeland Security's Customs and Border Protection, other federal agencies, and state departments of agriculture to investigate the situation. Please hold on to these seeds and packaging, including the mailing label, until someone from your state Department of Agriculture or APHIS contacts you with further instructions, the statement reads. Do not plant seeds from unknown origins. On Tuesday, the Burlington Police Department shared a news story about the seeds on Twitter and said there has been a reported case in town. We have had at least one report in Burlington, they tweeted. Please do not plant these. The USDA said at the time they don't have any evidence indicating this is something other than a brushing scam, where people receive unsolicited items from a seller who then posts false customer reviews to boost sales. USDA is currently collecting seed packages from recipients and will test their contents and determine if they contain anything that could be of concern to U.S. agriculture or the environment. The USDA urges anyone who receives an unsolicited package of seeds to immediately contact their state plant regulatory official or APHIS state plant health director. You can find a link to these agencies on our website at bcattv.org/bnews. Superintendent Eric Conti was in our BCAT studio this week for his monthly Superintendent Update segment. A lot of ground was covered, everything from a new 10-day delay by the state, how distance will work, the hybrid schedule, extracurricular activities, and sports. Perhaps the most important new information came when BNews Director Rich Hosford asked Superintendent Conti what would happen if after schools reopen, a student or teacher tests positive for COVID-19. Would the whole school be shut down for 14 days of quarantine? Here is what Dr. Conti had to say and his explanation of how they are working to prevent school-wide shutdowns.
The protocols are in place. Now, we haven't necessarily trained everyone on them or communicated them, and I think we again have to work with the local Board of Health and Barbara Conley, our nurse leader, and we have to make sure that we're prepared for those situations. I think one of the environmental factors that we're trying to mitigate some of the closure is by cohorting students. So we're going to try to keep kids in particular classrooms working with particular adults. So if we do have to quarantine a group of people, we're hoping that that group of people can be limited because we wouldn't have the kids mixing as much as they typically would. Again, that's part of the challenge with the after-school program, because if we cohort kids during the school day, but then mix them in the after-school program, and we can't trace who the students have been in contact with, then we might need to shut down more of a school day or more of a school because of that. So we're looking at options to cohort students both during the school day, and if we can have the after-school program running, because I think parents are looking for some extended childcare. If we can provide that, keeping the kids grouped in the same cohorts that they're experiencing during the school day.
Superintendent Conti and Assistant Superintendent Patrick Larkin have also done 2 information sessions here at BCAT with their latest thinking on the situation and answering questions they've received from parents. You can watch both of those and the full superintendent update on our website at bcattv.org. A new sculpture park has opened up on Center Street after months of planning, with more additions to come. BNews reporter John Villas went to visit the new location and has this report.
The Burlington Sculpture Park is now open. Located between the Grandview Farm and the Burlington Police Department, the first of multiple parks has been an ongoing project within the town, and countless hours have been spent turning the idea into a reality.
For a number of years now, folks have voiced their interest in seeing something like a sculpture park here in Burlington, or at least ways to broaden the town's cultural footprint here in Massachusetts.
The park has 5 empty spaces, and a new sculpture will have a permanent home next to the Grandview Farm every 2 weeks until space is full.
What's great about them is that there's a great diversity of style, right? So you're going to see smaller sculptures, different materials used to develop the sculptures. We've even got a great steel dog going across the common that will hopefully be very recognizable to a lot of folks who live in the area.
And don't forget about the visual surprise that Peter Dellert's Truth Number 1 has to offer when the sun sets.
For folks who have seen it once or haven't seen it at all, come twice because it glows in the dark.
It takes a team of dedicated community members to get this wonderful project in place that represents the town in a visual manner.
It's great to finally see all of the hours and all of the time the committee has put into the process starting to really solidify into the sculptures coming to the area. John Sachs has been working tirelessly to get all of this going. We had to identify a location that made sense for the sculpture park, that wasn't really, impeding on anybody else, that people could come to easily and enjoy. Where we're staying now, in this lot next to the Grandview Farms and the Burlington Police Department, is where the five of the 6 sculptures will reside, but the 6th will reside directly across the way on the town common itself. Having to go through all of the different submissions that were a part of this and all of that, it's great to finally see.
From the Burlington Sculpture Park in the center of town, I'm John Vias for BNEWS Weekly.
Thank you, John. A popular summer program that teaches kids safety and gets them familiar with local law enforcement, firefighters, and other agencies dealing with safety is coming back virtually. Sheriff Peter J. Katuzian is inviting Middlesex County families to participate in a series of live, virtual Youth Public Safety Academy, or YPSA, events beginning July 29th at 10 a.m. The virtual series will replace the annual in-person camp designed for youngsters aged 8 to 12 that was canceled this year due to COVID-19. Sheriff Katuzian says YPSA is one of their most successful community programs, and each year more than 1,000 youngsters participate along their staff and other public safety professionals from across Middlesex County. The participants, he said, not only learn valuable safety lessons, but they build relationships with the public safety professionals who work hard to keep them safe. The virtual series, he added, will allow them to maintain and strengthen the important connections they strive to make with the county's youngest residents. The live session will include videos and presentations on important public safety topics. The program started on Wednesday, July 29th, and will run for 3 weeks. Anyone can register at any time. Families wishing to register for the series can find a link on our website at bcattv.org/bnews. As part of Celebrate Burlington this Saturday, August 1st, People Helping People and the Burlington Presbyterian Church are holding food drives to support the Burlington Community Food Pantry. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the food pantry has seen a significant rise in the need for food assistance. Items of greatest need are mayonnaise, vegetable oil, oatmeal, salad dressing, as well as chicken, beef, and vegetable broth. They are also seeking snacks like cookies, crackers, granola bars, and trail mix. Shampoo, tissues, disinfectant wipes, and baby wipes are also being sought. Donations can be made at the People Helping People Burlington Food Pantry, 10 St. Mark's Road, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and at Burlington Presbyterian Church, 335 Cambridge Street, from 9 to 11 a.m. Due to conditions of the pandemic, both locations will be using a drive-through drop-off system. Those making contributions are being asked to have donations placed in your trunk to allow a contactless transfer. A member of the People Helping People board or a volunteer will remove donated items from your trunk. The mission of People Helping People is to help meet the basic needs of Burlington's most at-risk residents. These sustained community efforts are focused on providing hunger relief, emergency financial aid, and holiday support. Monetary donations may be made to People Helping People, P.O. Box 343, Burlington, Mass. 01803. Parks and Recreation Director Brendan Egan once again joined BNews reporter Robert Paris for a new department update on their many activities and programs. Let's check it out.
Although the COVID-19 pandemic has canceled a number of activities, the Burlington Parks and Recreation Department is giving opportunities to residents to participate in social distancing events. This week, I spoke with Parks and Recreation Director Brendan Egan in another COVID-19 update. The Burlington Garden Club has been working with the department for a special contest.
We're working in cooperation with the Burlington Garden Club. You can register your garden in one of 4 different categories. This is something new we're trying, and it fits perfectly with social distancing, and it gives people an opportunity who've been working hard on their garden. Some people, maybe it's their first year getting into gardening, and they got into it because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
As we enter August, the fall programs are still being determined by the department.
Sure, our fall programs are a work in progress. Obviously, we don't know what the guidelines will be for in-person programming. Our staff is working on fall programming now, and they will, we'll get that information out as soon as possible.
The concerts on the Common, children's shows, and movie nights have been doing well for the past couple of weeks.
It's a nice, wide-open environment there. There's plenty of room to be socially distant from other people. And I know the weather's been pretty hot, but we do have some room in our family concerts, and those will go until the end of August. So it's really a good time, and hopefully the weather cooperates and stays, just summer-like, not oppressively hot.
I'm Robert Paris for BNEWS Weekly.
Thank you, Robert. In Massachusetts, football is categorized as a high-risk sport. Currently, various committees and the coaching staff are working on finding ways to keep athletes and staff safe if they are able to return to the field in the fall. We go back to BNews reporter Robert Paris for this report.
Fall is right around the corner, and decisions are being made for fall sports for all schools around the Commonwealth. One of the highest risk sports out there is football. This week I spoke with BH's varsity football coach Dan McKay on the upcoming 2020 Red Devils football season. Usually, the team starts training in the summer. However, with the pandemic, they had to shift courses.
So over the summer, we're not allowed to work with them from a football perspective anyways. In the state of Massachusetts, one of the few states where you can't. So what we do is we do a strength and conditioning program for them normally, where it's open to every single athlete. However, this year we haven't done that because of the COVID. So what we have a group of athletes, about 20 of them, that are at Athletic Evolution in Woburn, working out with their trainers because they're able to do it with the social distancing and everything like that. And then the other athletes have been given workouts to do on their own if they're able to. So that's how we've kind of handled that.
Protecting everyone is the key, and the football committee proposed the idea of built-in face shields.
This new face shield that's being created, I think, by Under Armour, that would protect the entire face mask so that sweat wouldn't get into our student athletes' faces, and attaching mouthpieces to the helmet rather than have them cut off and student athletes putting their hands on the mouthpiece constantly. So that's how that's being addressed. Now, as far as a face mask underneath all that as well, I am not sure. That has not been addressed yet. I think it would be difficult to play an entire game with a mask on, but we'll see. We'll see what happens in the coming weeks.
McKay is always thinking of the athletes during this difficult time, especially the rising seniors.
Your heart goes out to the seniors. Everything, your entire career as a youth athlete and a high school athlete culminates in your senior year, and personally, I can't imagine not being able to have your senior year of all 3 sports, let alone the fall. So hopefully, obviously, I hope we can have a fall season. Obviously, it's got to be safe for the students, for the faculty, for our staff. So I'm hoping that can get done. If not, hopefully we get something done in the spring or something like that. Especially for those seniors who have worked so hard the previous 3 years. Be a shame if they weren't able to have their season. And at the least, you would hope that some of those low-risk sports will be able to have their seasons.
From Varsity Field, I'm Robert Paris for BNEWS Weekly.
Thank you, Robert. BNews weatherman Peter Brown is back this week with the latest forecast. We'll also check out the community calendar with Jolie Atwood to see what's happening in Burlington.
Well, hello everyone. This is Peter Brown with a look at your weather for the next 7 days. I know it's hard to believe that we're at the end of July already and looking ahead to August. Can't believe that meteorological summer is actually 2/3 of the way over. It's really hard to believe that in a couple of short weeks we'll be looking towards September. But let's not get everybody depressed about that yet. We still have plenty of great summer weather to go. And of course, looking at our almanac starting out the period, we see temperatures again at this time of the year in the mid-80s, our lows at night in the mid-60s, and that's pretty much going to be par for the course for the next 7 days. Maybe slightly above average, but nothing crazy, nothing like we've been seeing the past couple of weeks or so, where we've seen temperatures well up in the mid and upper 90s. But let's go ahead and take a look at what we're going to be expecting from the Climate Prediction Center in terms of temperatures and precip for the next 7 days. Looking at our temperature map, looks like the Climate Prediction Center is expecting us to have at or slightly above average temperatures for the next 7 days. Again, nothing to be really surprised about. We've had a fairly warm summer so far. Now, as we go ahead and look at the next map, unfortunately, if you're looking for any significant rain out there, looks like the Climate Prediction Center is calling for us to have near or below average precipitation. So if you need to get out there and get your gardens watered, unfortunately, you're going to have to be using the hose instead of waiting for Mother Nature to do it. And as we go ahead, let's take a look at the next 7 days and some of that weather that we have coming up for you. And again, as you can see here, fairly typical for this time of the year. Nothing crazy, nothing too cool, and definitely nothing too hot. Starting out our period, looks like we're going to have partly cloudy skies going into the weekend. Temperatures again in the mid to upper 80s, so fairly average for this time of the year. Then we're going to introduce maybe the chance of some more showers and thunderstorms getting into the end of the period. Now, this may have a slight tropical connection as we get towards the end of the week. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Doesn't look like it's anything to concern ourselves with at this point, but just something to keep in the back of our mind. And of course, as you're getting out there at the end of the period going into August, it's really going to start getting noticeable how much the days are shortening, especially in the afternoon. So that's something that we know, unfortunately, as we head through summer, something that we have to put up with. But looks like all in all, we're going to have a great week of weather coming up, everyone. So get out there, enjoy the weather, and have a great week.
Hey everyone, I'm Jolie Atwood and this is your community calendar. It is time for a story. On Tuesday, August 4th at 11 a.m., the Burlington Public Library will be having a bilingual virtual story time. Children ages 5 and under are welcome. Pre-register at burlington.org. Grab your popcorn and blankets. On Wednesday, August 5th at dusk, the Burlington Parks and Recreation Department will be having a movie night on the town common. The movie they will be showing is The Lion King live action version. Pre-registration is required and everyone is welcome. To register, go to burlingtonrecreation.org or call 781-270-1695. Come and listen to some music. On Thursday, August 6th from 5 to 8 p.m., 3rd Avenue will be having a concert on the Green event. The Dueling Pianists will be performing. Everyone is welcome and the event is free. I'm Jolie Atwood and that was your community calendar.
Thank you, Jolie, and thank you, Peter. Water bans are a hot topic in Burlington, so BNews Green Corner has water conservation practices and strategies to help you save money and sustainably manage this precious natural resource in your household. Let's take a look.
Water has become something that we're paying a lot more attention to over the years. We've certainly had water waste bans on for the last few years, and we've all become more cognizant of it. I suggest thinking about every time you turn on the water, could I be doing this better? Do I have to run the water as hard as I am? Do I have to run it as fast? Could I instead put water in a bowl and use that to wash things rather than continuously running the water? Another thing to think about is reusing water. If you have, for instance, you find a glass of water that's sitting in the house that's half full, or if you had a reusable water bottle that you travel with, often when I come home it still has some water in it, and rather than dumping it down the drain, I will pour it on my nearest houseplant. Ever since I started doing that, my houseplants have lived much longer. One of the things we don't think about in our modern lives is we get into the shower, we turn on the water to warm it up, and then flip it to the shower head. But that gallon of water that escapes us while we are trying to get it up to temperature could be useful. So if you have anything outdoors that you would like to water in the summertime, but you can't because of the water ban, I suggest capturing that with a bucket in the shower and then taking it out and pouring it on your favorite plant or vegetable. You should be aware that they have come up with some very clever ways to save water nowadays. So there's shower heads that will use a lot less water. It's much more air, and toilets that flush with a lot less water than they used to, I mean by half or less. And in general, be looking for things for your faucets that could cause your water to go further, and it still feels like the same pressure, there's just less water coming out as fast. It's a way to conserve on a grand scale if you have several family members. A number of household appliances are also made for water efficiency now. So for instance, you can get a dishwasher and it takes longer, but at the same time uses much less water than your average dishwasher would. Drinking water is something everybody wonders about, and people tend to think that bottled water is better than what's coming out of the tap. Maybe it tastes better to them. But the fact is that you can save a lot of money on bottled water and a lot of plastic by not buying that bottled water if you were to put in your own water system at your tap. A lot of times it comes with a second smaller faucet, and there's filters underneath. You can pick the filters that you want so the water is as clean as you want it to be. That's one way to maximize the water you're already paying for. Another is to use a filter that you would either leave on the counter or in the refrigerator. You pour the water in the top, you let it settle down, and it chills in the refrigerator and waits for you. And that is also filtering out a lot of the things you wouldn't want, including taste in your water. That is a much more sustainable way to get your water, your drinking water, as opposed to buying it bottled. And just because it's in a bottle does not mean it's better. It means it is less tested. The Department of Public Works, who brings water to your house, tests that water regularly and for a number of different things, whereas the bottled water is an unknown. Largely, they don't have the same testing, they don't have the same proof of what is in it or not in it as the water coming out of your tap. The DPW does a great job.
Thank you. I think I learned a few things myself. Another week, another photo to highlight. This week's photo is a wonderful look at the night sky. It was sent in by Lauren Lichtel and shows a quarter moon as seen through a telescope. Lauren said this photo was taken without the use of a filter and was taken with her smartphone. It really shows that we can all take some great shots with the technology we have at hand. Thanks for the photo, Lauren. We'd like to see your photos. They could be of your stay-at-home activities, finally eating al fresco at your favorite restaurant, shots of your pet, summer activities, or just the weather seen from your own backyard. Whatever you think is interesting and want to share. Email your photos to bcat@bcattv.org with the subject line, Photo of the Week. Well, that's it for this week's edition of BNEWS Weekly. I'm Linda McNamee. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you around town. Good night.